In a world that glorifies the grind, Selah is a sacred invitation to pause. Every other week, you'll find space here to slow down, listen inward, and remember who you are beneath all the noise. Through guided reflections, soulful conversations, gentle practices, and story-led journeys, Selah, a deep pause, offers rest. Not an escape, not to repress, but as a way to come home. This podcast is for those standing at the edge of change. You know who you are. The seekers, the sensitives, the high-functioning feelers, those ready to honor the quiet and reclaim their own rhythm. So come as you are and exhale. Then exhale again and stay for the stillness. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Selah, a deep pause. I'm here with my husband, Tim, again, and Krissi.
Hello.
And we're coming to you from inside the tunnel. And just to give you some perspective, we at one point worked with Allison Armstrong, and Allison Armstrong gave us this beautiful language to understand what most people call the midlife crisis, when simply it's the tunnel, which is a very profound shift for men. Kids have grown up, job shifts, the dynamic in the relationship, because it changed when the kids were young, it changed when they were in middle school, it changed. And then the kids are gone. And then now it's like this space of loss of identity. It's a shift of roles. Where some men begin to go, well, who am I if I'm not needed in all these roles that I once were such a big part of their life? So they begin to feel undervalued. So I'm going to pass it on to Tim so that he can share the reason this is coming about is because of a Facebook post that he had, because he was going through, he was in it. So share, babe.
Okay. Yeah, it was, after several conversations over a couple of weeks, right, that it was kind of through this process that kind of clicked, and I could actually name it or identify it. So I just went and I just said, maybe this resonates with you. I was reaching out to men. At 54, I'm learning how to live without being needed. I'm transitioning from provider, fixer, and anchor to my next stage in life, whether it be in business or family. I'm shifting from performance to presence. Kids are on their own. Our business has shifted to where Laura is thriving in her new identity without me. The old identity hasn't released, but the new one hasn't stabilized yet. So who am I when no one needs me? It's been terrifying, yet freeing at the same time. A lot of anger has come from invisibility triggers of, do I still matter? Imposter syndrome, because I don't want to have to perform for worth anymore. And numbing, because my nervous system is asking for relief from the stress of lacking purpose or meaning in this transition.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it was several deep conversations that we had. And all of a sudden it just clicked.
Yeah. It's like the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've been in it, in it. One, I'd say something basic, and then all of a sudden I got Tim triggered at me, and I'm like, wait, what did I say? Or what's going on? And so his fuse had gotten really short on several things, but he couldn't see it. And recently in these conversations, all of a sudden I'd say something, and then he'd he'd see it. And as he started seeing what had been showing up over and over and over for weeks, and you just dropped into this wave of emotions as it all started to land. And we've had some epic.
And I think that a lot of the emotions came from me asking a lot of questions. But then the questions is, where do I fit in all this? Life has changed. Our businesses have changed. And it just was such a huge shift from, it's the performance to presence. It was a huge shift and just mind-boggling. And then looking back, seeing those times when I get angry or frustrated, or it was all part of the process.
Mm-hmm. But it was really incredible to see it land
Yeah.
over the last few weeks. And even for me, like for some women that as their men are going through this shift, you maybe really find yourself like really frustrated, feeling really unseen, feeling really unappreciated, all the things, because like there were some moments where you're like, you don't appreciate me enough. And I'm like, I actually had a friend visiting at that moment. I was like, I think I hear Laura say like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. Oh my God, I'm so grateful." And so it was somebody was there to kind of repeat it, and he's like, "Oh." And so it was this. I did not understand how to support you at that moment, and then what was really fascinating. Uber fascinating. We've talked about this in the podcast that you used to have a drinking problem, right? And uh, I don't even know how many years you haven't been drinking anymore. And what was really interesting I don't know if it's been a couple of months, I've lost track, but there was these moments where you almost looked like you had drank.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed it, and Brandy, our daughter, noticed it. And it was like, are you okay? I mean, did you have a slip? It's okay. We can talk about it. And it's like, and you're like, no. But it was like this frequency and we did not know how to name it until last week. It was the frequency of numbing.
Mm-hmm.
When he didn't feel like seen, when he felt unappreciated, when he felt all these other things back in the day when he used to drink a lot to numb these emotions, even though he wasn't drinking.
Right.
The
The energy and the frequency, the nervous
yeah,
system all went to that. So it was literally just shutting things off.
yeah. So it's like
It's
you weren't hearing me.
disassociation.
There you
Yeah.
go. There is
It's
the word.
disassociation. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's what you're explaining. You're
Yeah.
disassociating from everything. You're just withdrawing and you just keep going, I can't, I'm not doing this. Shut down, shut down, shut down. Disassociate. Still there, but just not there.
Correct. And that was super surprising once we came to that realization of like, oh shit. And you said it right. I mean, disassociation. Now why? Why am I disassociating? Why is this coming in? And that started leading to uh
Well, it's led into the feeling of what do you do when no one needs you anymore? Like you said, the kids are gone. They're on their own. They don't need me to make them dinner. They don't need me to support them, to take them to games and do this and all that. I mean, there's other ways to support, but now and then like with us, with the mortgage business, obviously, right? It's slowed down a little bit, shifted. Um, you're doing a lot more of what you're doing now, but that doesn't include me. So I'm like, hello, where am I? Where's my value? Because we were always such a team with the mortgage world. And then just as it's like, how do you feel when no one needs you? Right? You finally really get to meet yourself.
mm.
And then it's like, wow, there's no freaking applause for that. Right? And so it was like, whoa. And then as we'll talk a little bit more with, some of the anger and the imposter and, the numbing, because there was still forms of that. And we can get into that. But yeah, it's just like that whole, what happens when no one needs you. But that's where, I don't want to jump ahead, but that's where I go. It was the most terrifying thing, yet the most freeing thing, because being needed was part of my identity. That's who I was. I was needed, right? And so not being needed is scary because that's who I thought I was.
Well, that's where you
right?
get your worth from.
Right. But it's also now what I've realized it's actually very freeing because now I can just like be, right? And it goes back to that presence over performance. So
Mhm.
So Tim, can I ask a question if we
Sure.
can, kind of define, we talked about earlier this tunnel. So I'm thinking a lot of people may not really understand
Mhm.
that word. So can you guys, talk through what the tunnel is and what Allison meant by that?
Yeah. So, I mean, actually, when I kind of realized that's kind of where I was and, we've had conversations and a couple of our friends have chimed in with that as well. I went back and did some more digging into it and kind of go with three different because it's a guy can go into a tunnel for a few hours. They go inward, they're trying to figure things out, then it could last a couple of weeks or it could last even longer. And that's kind of where I've been. the last couple of years is navigating going in, not finding my purpose, but my worth. Just a lot of thought because I'm transitioning seasons from the being needed, fixing supporter to not having to do that. And so you really have to kind of go in and be with yourself. And it's a hard transition because it's your old identity is no longer. And so you're transitioning into a newer identity and finding out who that is.
And that you're enough.
And that you're valued without being needed, or you're worthy without producing goals of eyes closed, this many loans, we did this much in volume, we did this. Now it's like, okay, who am I without that? And so it goes from being needed to now I get to be chosen, right? I can now I can be me without my vision of having to meet those goals or those standards or those needs to prove my worth. Now I can just be me and be happy in that and not live up to those lofty standards.
Yeah.
Which
And
are
so,
which a lot of times are self-inflicted or
oh yeah,
self-induced goals or expectations.
yeah, those identities carry a lot of stories.
Yeah.
Because you say identities, but it's identities. I mean, husband, dad, business owner, friend, there's tons of identities. And those identities have their own identities in the different contexts of how you do life. And when you realize, and that's probably what I'm going to come back to, when you realize those old identities, no, I'm going to say no longer serve you, but they kind of no longer exist. They don't really have a place anymore.
Right.
How did you realize that's what it was? Because I think that's a big thing. I know this because I've been going through it myself. And then what did you do? Because those old identities, they have many roles, they have many jobs.
Yeah.
They keep us safe. Let's just wrap it into that. They keep us safe, they keep us going, they keep us moving. How did you release those old identities so that you can make space for these new ones that you're talking about?
Well, I think I'm in the process of releasing those because it wasn't until I realized what they were and how strongly
You
that
acknowledge
was
them.
one, I became aware of them and then acknowledged them. Two, I'm in the process of releasing that. And it's hard because, I mean, even today we're having a conversation with our daughter and there was that controlling dad, right?
Something new just
And
landed.
so that was,
This is what the last few weeks have been like. It's more and more keeps landing.
so yeah, I've identified them. I haven't released them all. And they happen, it's kind of hard to stomach, and then begin to question. It's a practice, just like anything that we do. It's a practice of catching it when it happens,
Well, and it's
and then so that the next time you can catch it before it happens.
yeah, because the awareness has been there.
Yeah,
But that's that next step is acknowledging it. Like right now, that was part of the acknowledging where he just realized that part and he's letting it instead of bypassing it and going like, well, and projecting outward and to put blame somewhere else is to acknowledge it.
Yeah. Can we talk about that bypassing real quick? Because I think that's an important thing. In experience with other people, myself in general, it's very easy to continue to disassociate or numb or do the things and go past it, right?
Yeah.
And just stay on the merry-go-round. We can very easily stay on the merry-go-round. And Tim, can you talk about a couple things that maybe that you've done that helped you, that is helping you currently work through this? Because I know there's a couple of things that you've done that are, I think they're integral to working through this process.
Man, that's a tough question.
I have some answers for you because I've heard you, so I'll be happy to help. So I know one of the things that you've done is you talked to some friends, you reached out to some people. And I heard you talk about, talking to our friend John, talking to your friend Jess, right? And so being vulnerable to talk about what you're going through.
Right.
And I think that vulnerability, and just what you just did, is I'm just going to let this happen. I'm going to move through it. And then also allowing someone to reflect back on you, I think is really important. I know you and Laura do a great job of that. And I think it's one thing when you have your partner do it, but it's also reaching out to someone else and
Right.
saying, hey, I'm going through a thing. And can you be with me? Can you hear me? Can you reflect back on me? Because I think that's, from what I heard from you, then that's a crucial step to it. Because if not, you can just sit there and let that story spin and spin and spin and
Spin.
spin and spin until somebody
Yeah.
says, phew, hold on a second. Let's really talk about that story. Is it
Yeah.
true? And if it is, what do you want to do about it? You know, it's because that's where the awareness comes when someone else, I think, holds that mirror up
Right.
to you and says, yeah, bro, no,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not you.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I hadn't done in the past, right?
Mhm.
I didn't reach out to people. I didn't want to.
It's a new muscle you're
Well, yeah,
working
I
on.
know.
You've been doing it, but the muscle's still growing where you reach out.
Well, I didn't want to be seen in this
Oh,
version because is it showing weakness? Is it showing vulnerable or
That's it.
vulnerability?
The man
Right?
up
And
part, right? You were told to man up
Mhm.
your entire life, I'm sure. And man up does
Mhm.
not
right,
equal reach out to somebody and ask for help. Man
right.
up means do it yourself, figure it out, stop being
Yeah.
a baby. Like I'm
Mhm.
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
and so if
And
that's what you hear all the time, you're not going to go and talk to someone else because no one told you that was okay.
and then the other thing is to not beat yourself up over it, right? Because if you don't reach out and then you're beating yourself up for it, that's like a cyclone spinning,
Mhm.
right? And then that weighs, and that's when the anger and all the
Yeah.
other stuff pops out.
And it's also really beautiful to see. Like when I heard you talking to John, I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm over here going, yes, because it's so beautiful when it's two men just genuinely being willing to see one another. And what I really love that always happens when I've seen you do it, you gave permission to the other man
Yeah.
to open up.
Mhm.
And it's there's nothing more divine, more precious. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's actually, that helps tie into that freeing part, that you're not bottling it up, and it's like, oh, I could do this, and someone else is there to witness and listen
Mhm.
without judgment.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Do you want to talk about how anger started showing up? If what you may have found was underneath the anger?
well, anger it was almost like an invisibility trigger, not feeling seen, and so it'd be my way of saying, "Here I am," and not in a good way, and over dumb stuff.
I'm like,
It's like a tantrum. It's like a tantrum. It's like a tantrum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally was a
It's a
tantrum.
tantrum.
Well, it would almost show up where my worth used to pop in.
Mhm.
Right? So I wasn't feeling worth, and so I'd get angry to be valid, to be seen. And yeah, it wasn't. And looking at it now, it's like, not let's say stupid, how insecure of me to do that. And I still catch it because we're still transitioning this stuff, right? But now I can name it, and I can see where a lot of that stems from.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to say, like, for a lot of the women that are moving, have a husband that's moving through this type of behavior where they're just getting angry at silly things, or it almost looks like they're drunk all the time because they're disassociating. They can't connect. They can't be present. They need a safe place to land. You know, I you told me my approach changed because I think for a second there I was like, "Oh my God, here he is again." And then it finally, I
You
I set
reframed it.
I reframed it. I set my feelings aside at the moment, and I'm like, okay, this is something. And I started reframing my questions to let you to see you,
Mhm.
give you a chance to, well, why are you having these emotions? Can you tell me what's going on? And then and I took my charge that I had, set it aside, and then all of a sudden it's like all of a sudden,
It's like a shock.
it was
It was
like,
weird.
it really was. All of a sudden, you just like looked at me like all of you, it went click click, 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 click. And I'm like, what's happening? It's like, oh my God, I like it.
Yeah.
Because the defense went away. I mean, instantly your defense went away because of the way I approached you. And then you just landed and then you started realizing things. And then I didn't go into like, well, you see this and that. I was like, okay, well, why do you think? And if that's something that you as a spouse can't offer that, well, then they need to find somebody that can, so that they can start to go, oh, I see what's happening. Oh, I understand. And it was incredible for me too, because we had been, what was it? I was to say when we came back from our honeymoon. So it was after October,
Yep.
late October is when, so late October, November, December, you were in it.
Yeah.
And we were in this, I'm like, man, what is all going on?
But that's also looking back now, actually great here, just kind of dropping in. When we got back, we just got back from 3 weeks of fun,
Yeah.
right? And now we got back into the real world. You started getting busy with some events and with different planning and more involved with that. And here I was, like,
Mm,
because it leading into kind of what I wanted to talk about next is that imposter.
mm,
I wasn't ready to really step into the new identity of where I kind of envision
mm,
working and serving with people, but not having to prove my worth in doing it, if that makes
mhm,
sense. And so that goes back to that imposter syndrome.
mm,
Who am I? Am I really capable to do what I would like to do? Right. And I think it was one of those things where that was like, you are in your new identity. Our identity was always the Deir team. And now you have your identity. I don't have mine. I'm holding on to old identities. I have a feeling of who I really want to be. And so that was going through that. And so, I mean, it's kind of evolved over the last little bit, working with some men and some couples, right? And I love doing that, to go through what we've gone through and what I've gone through. I was like, but who am I?
mm.
Well, now I know who I am. I've been through it. And I don't have to do it by performance. I can do it by being present. There's no magic pill.
Mm-mm.
There's no dollar figure or goal or sales quota or what. That's not what this is about, right? It's just about being real, being present, being honest, vulnerable.
Being
And
willing
so,
to, and you're so willing to be seen in a lot of these
right.
things. Yeah.
And so that's where kind of that was, but I was still fighting it.
Well, there's an
Mhm.
acceptance of who you really are.
Right.
And we
Yeah.
don't want to do that. We will fight tooth and nail to say, oh, let's think sometimes of somebody giving you a compliment and how
Mm.
many times we just go, no, I'm okay. No, you're really good at that. No, it's a thing I do. It's fine. No, don't do that. Or somebody says, Tim, you should go work with more men and do more things. I'm like, yeah, it's good to do. And you don't do, you hear and just go, and it just bounces off you.
Right.
Because that belief, that internal belief that that's something you can do, even though it like piques your interest, you're like, yeah, no. And that
Yeah.
belief is really, it's hard. It's somebody just, oh, you just got to believe. Okay. It's not
Mhm.
as easy as we want to just say it is. It's simple,
Yeah.
but it's fucking hard.
Mhm.
Right.
Really fucking hard. There's layers and layers and layers and layers of bullshit that we have to get through. And I know you've been doing the work. I've witnessed it over the last
Mhm.
5 years. And so it's really cool to see you in this
Thank you.
particular place. And I
Thank you.
wanted to get back to something Laura, you talked about a safe place to land. And I wanted to just get a little bit more information about that because I don't know that everybody really understands what that is. And I know we talk a lot about it with women having a safe place to land. So let's talk about what you guys mean by that. Because what I heard was patterns,
Mhm.
right? Our nervous system seeks patterns. We seek patterns. That's just what we do. That's how, that's how we work, right? And
Mhm.
what you talked about, and when Tim was having, was going through the thing, and his nervous system, let me be angry, was looking for your pattern to come back and do whatever it did. And when it didn't, it went, wait, what?
Yeah.
And so when it
Right.
sees that pattern interrupt, that disruption, and almost went, what is this going on? And then you were offering this safe place to land where he could just break down, yell, do whatever it is that was happening at the time.
Yeah.
That's what I think is really interesting and to be aware of, is that pattern. And we call it a pattern interrupt. It's called
Yeah.
many different things. But
Mhm.
providing someone a safe place to land is crucial in almost any relationship that you have. But if you can talk
Yeah.
about where you pivoted for him, realizing, oh, he needs something different right now. Me coming at him the way I used to is not going to work.
Correct. Well, anytime you come back to somebody with um words, oh my God, when you're triggered.
Thanks, menopause.
Yeah, thank you, menopause. What's the word that I'm looking for? When you're
Words.
triggered. Oh my God, what is the word that I'm looking for? When I am triggered and defensive. There we
Okay,
go.
that worked. That one.
Yay!
Yay.
Defensive. Gosh, this menopause stuff is
Drives me
baloney.
nuts.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Thinking about it. Help me out.
And I already
Sounds
lost
like
it again. What was the word again?
defensive.
Oh, this is
It takes a
ridiculous.
village. Takes a village.
Anytime you come back, when somebody is having a emotional, you can tell they're triggered, they're angry, something is going on. Because it doesn't take an energy worker or somebody with a word. We can all feel it. We can't say, well, I don't know. I was like, no. We can all feel when something's off. And if we're coming back in this defensive energy, I mean, if I come back to Tim defensive, man, let me tell you, then his defenses go up, and then I'm not seeing him, hearing him. He's not hearing me. There's nothing. Everyone just gets shut down. And in our stories of, well, they don't love me, they don't appreciate me, blah, blah, blah. But that's the shutdown also spins out into these stories that we tell ourselves. And so what we mean by a safe space is like I actually had to realize, I'm like, okay, I've been coming at him with a really defensive, because he had been like in it spinning for weeks, and it's just like, I'm like, okay. It's like, this isn't, I know I caught myself in, we always talk about the worst thing you can do to a man is criticize him. Like, the worst thing you can do is criticize him. Uh, and I literally, it hit me, and I was like, oh shit. I went back and I have a friend from the community that I told her, I go, when we do this work, it's like some of our patterns, it's not that they go away, they just kind of go dormant. And so I had gotten to a place where I was no longer criticizing him, but when then he was spinning out he was moving through something, my dormant patterns woke back up. I was like, what? I'm needed again? And I started criticizing him and not being very open with him. And so he's not feeling anywhere he can land. So then I saw that for me, and I'm like, oh shit, oops.
Yeah, and it's a
Yep.
whoops moment. I think that's
Yeah,
important
it's a
too. I think
whoops.
it's really important that,
Mhm.
as we go through these things, sometimes we're like, oh shit, damn
Oh,
it,
shit.
I'm
Yeah.
doing it again. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
And it's not to beat yourself up,
Uh-uh.
other than to go,
Nope.
oops. I'm like, oh shit, there.
And so, look, if I can chime in first,
Mhm.
you don't have to tell everybody that I was spinning. They got it the first 10 times.
Let me clarify.
I mean, come
I would like
on.
to go back and
I'm sorry.
if it pleases
Well,
the jury.
I'm explaining why I was like criticizing.
Tim, how
Because I
long were
was
you sitting
in
there
it.
wanting to say that? First of all, let me back up
So-
5 minutes.
But I do want to touch base on the safety thing too, because we've talked with couples. Men and women have a completely different initial definition of safety. However, men also need to feel safety from their spouse, their partner, because if they can't be open, if they can't express their feelings, they're going to withdraw.
Mhm.
They're going to get angry. They're not going to be open because they went from their biggest cheerleader to the person that's trying to change or criticize them.
Mhm.
And so that safety for men is extremely important as well with their partners. The other thing is having the feeling of safety to be able to open up to other men. without the nervousness or the fear of being judged, criticized, um, thought less of, right? Because I think it's more masculine for a man to be able to do that than not do it.
Yeah. Well, and then not weaponize what you tell me more than
Correct.
anything. Um, because we are some messy human beings and
Mhm.
we are allowed to have our feelings. Whether agree with his feelings or not, doesn't matter. I haven't walked in his shoes his entire life, so I don't have a say in his feelings. They're there. And so, can I just hold space for what is real and true for him at that moment? And that's really where I sat. I realized I had started the criticizing, so I wasn't helping. And I'm like, oh, so I set that aside and I said, okay, I'm willing to hear, let me know, where are you at? What's going on? And my demeanor changed. It goes to that energy where he felt I wasn't going like, it was like, oh, okay.
Oh, now I remember what it was. I remember the point. We had kind of been in a little, I was in it. I was spinning.
Where are you spinning, Tim? For weeks?
You could say
And anyway, so
And
we'd
it was
gotten,
weeks, right?
yeah. But anyway, it was like, so I took a break, or we took the day or whatever, and it's like, we're going to come back. Let's talk about it. I need to put some thought into this.
Yeah.
And as I was going through that, that's when most of this hit me, was that I felt all of these things that we were saying. I saw the anger. I saw the imposter syndrome. I saw the numbing. Now it's the scrolling and the binge watching of shows and just disassociating myself with reality. But it was that moment, and you didn't even have to say anything. You're like, you said it all.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when the realization of being able to put a finger on what was happening, and then that was awareness and acknowledgement right there, all in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
And then being able to move on from that. And now the conversations can be had to where, oh, we can talk about this, or oh, that was that. It's just like other things that we've been
It
through.
unlocked.
Right. It's
Yeah.
been it's there's so many doors that have been locked throughout the process of all this. But when you find that the key to unlock it, that's gold.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk
So
about
Yeah.
those keys, Tim, and I'm going to say, how are you able to name it? And it being multiple things. You talked about imposter syndrome, numbing, and all of that.
I had to
What
just go ahead.
what took you down the lane to be able to name it? Because you didn't just go from spinning out for weeks uh, to naming it, right?
Yeah, I had to really sit and be with myself and have conversations with myself and ask. Again, to me, it always goes back to asking deep questions. I had stopped asking questions of myself or what was happening. It's like, why do you feel this way when this happens? Oh, it's that. Okay. Well, what do you think may cause that reaction because of that? And it's just kind of going deeper and deeper. It's like literally that's what I did, is I just asked questions of myself. I was quiet. I did go inward, and I spent a lot of time just sitting and thinking and going and asking those questions, and that led to the anger. Right? Why have I been getting angry? It's like, hi, I'm here. And the same with the other things. It was like, wow. And there were some of the conversations that I reached out with people and said, okay, here's kind of or they said something in conversation. I'm like, oh, takes me back to this. Now ask some more questions, and one thing on that is one person asked, so are you finding your purpose? And at first I was like, oh God, here's another to-do list. Right. And I know it was asked in genuine curiosity. So I've looked at it a little different. Is what things do I enjoy with less effort? And not that I don't have to try hard at it. It's like that I don't have to try hard to get an outcome and name it. What do I just enjoy doing freely? So
Yeah. The biggest thing is creating space for your person, kids, whoever it is that's spinning out, when you can center yourself enough to help their nervous system feel safe. As soon as you felt your nervous system feel safe and not criticized by me. You landed on a few things, yes, and then you're like, I need to go for a long drive and come back to you. And you went for a long drive.
Yeah.
And then you came back with like gold. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing I want to mention too is for either a spouse or I'll say for a guy that doesn't realize what they're in, one thing I want to make importantly known is it's not too late, right? You're not broken, right? You're not losing your purpose. You're just uncoupling it from the obligation.
Mm-hmm.
And all it takes is to be able to have conversations and take a look at that.
Yeah.
I also like to relabel purpose, because purpose is not what you do. Your purpose is how you make people feel.
Right.
Mm.
And I think
Yeah.
when you lead with that, which is also going to lean in more towards things that make you feel good, because it makes you feel good, it's going to make somebody else feel good. And then when you're doing that, you're literally living your purpose.
Yeah.
Because we want to say a purpose is something we do. I'm believing more and more that it's how I make people feel. And when I do that and they make me feel good, I'm like, oh, I really enjoyed that. Like those things I'm finding more and more, they correlate a lot more for me.
Yeah. And in all of this, it's really incredible just to, like, for me, as you've been in this process, I have not been trying to control an outcome. I want him to achieve this or do this. I've just been a safe space for him to come and vent or express. And, man, because once we get into our 50s, it's like, you're in a space where you care less what other people think. And the last thing you want to do with somebody you care about is try to continue to control them, because that's what we knew how to do when we were young, or manipulate with our words so we can get an outcome that we want.
Well, we're trying to stay in our patterns. We are trying to stay in our patterns. Our pattern kept saying
Exactly.
it. We know what our patterns are, and we feel better in the things that we know is happening. I don't even know if those words make sense, but
yeah.
And when you start to go, all right, it becomes almost, this isn't enough. Where I've gotten myself to right now, this isn't enough. Now we're conditioned to be like, well, just be happy with what you have. Okay, I'm happy with what I have, and I want more because this isn't enough. And I think that little line just starts to pull things apart, because to your point, Tim, when you no longer have those identities where that felt like because you're also busy, right? You're also, time is a thing as well, where I have this going on, this going on, this going on. All of a sudden, all of that goes away with those identities. And you're like, I don't even have anything to do.
Well, because sometimes presence is quiet. And when you had been going and going and going and going, there was no quiet. And so it's like,
it's jarring. It can be very jarring. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, and I don't know if I should say this, but so whenever Laura goes out of town, right, the first 24 hours, I'm like, this is awesome. And then after that, it's like, I can't sleep. I literally, I can't sleep. And so I think just that, it's so quiet.
Because it's not quiet when I'm around.
Really?
You hear that, right?
Shocking.
But I mean, that could be part of it, right? And so that just kind of dropped it anyway.
But a lot of people can't. There's a lot of people that cannot not be busy. That if they are alone, not doing something, alone with their thoughts, because sometimes that's more of what it is, because that's when the stories come up, because there's nothing else to distract, that they can't do that. And so we've been conditioned for years, talking about the double nickels coming up, right, Tim? For years to be busy, because that's if you're busy doing, then you don't have time to sit it and go, oh, this is not fun. Until you go, well, wait a minute. Oh, well, I've got time right now. What could I do right now? Do I want to do something? Oh, I could go read a book. I could go take a walk. I could take a nap. I could do, I could call a friend. I could do nothing. I wonder what that's like. And it's weird. It's a really weird place. And I'm experiencing it as well. It's weird, but it's also going, oh, okay. And then also doing nothing sometimes and allowing your nervous system to go, oh, we're okay. doing nothing, and I'm not in danger, I'm not scared, and, nothing's burning down, nothing's okay, this is an interesting place.
Yeah. And it creates an opening for these parts of you to start waking up, which is so important.
I think that's where creativity lies too,
Yeah.
a lot of times, is in that in-between space.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you just are like, "What do I wanna do?" And I do this periodically, "What do I wanna do?" And I have a hammock, and I sit in my little hammock, and I just get quiet, and all of a sudden I've seen it happen multiple times where something comes up and goes, "I could go do that." And I get, "Okay." And I get up and go do it, and I'm like, "That was weird how that happened." But if I was in my old patterns, I would never have thought of it. So I think this is really, really good information. Tim, for a lot of guys who are listening right now, or their partners or someone who loves them, where can they start? Like, where can they realize, I think I recognize what Tim's talking about, and I think I'm there. What would be something that you recommend that maybe they could do that might be another step?
Find someone that you feel safe sharing some of your vulnerability. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard for guys, but there are way more guys out there that are in the same situation or the same boat that could really use a friend to listen, not to fix it, not to try to solve it or to name it, but to listen without
point.
expectations, without judgment. And I know that's hard, but they're out there. The other thing is your spouse or your partner. But I think one of the biggest things is to be able to preface it. Hey, I'd like to have a conversation.
Mhm.
I'm looking for you to listen. I'm feeling some things that I don't know how to really express them.
Yeah.
And please please just listen and see me in what I'm going through.
Yeah.
It's a season. It could be whatever, but I think it's just finding someone that you feel safe with speaking to somebody to express a little bit. Because sometimes it's just that other person asking a couple simple questions. Because then I also think it's very important for someone that may be in it is to go back to what I said earlier, start asking some questions. Why am I getting angry? What caused me to snap or to lose my cool or my calm? And then go, okay. And then just continue stacking those questions. And it may not come then, but you may be driving down to work or whatever in 2-3 days, and you've been asking yourself some questions, and you're like, this is what it is because something happened and it just triggered me. Now I can identify it and understand it. Or if you don't understand it, that's when you can talk about it or feel more comfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
Would you say that it's also in those questions to be able to also then say, almost kind of like, I think of one of my old jobs for quality assurance, and you keep asking why. Because sometimes the answer to
Mhm.
that question is, "Oh, well, she yelled at me and it made me angry." Okay, well, why did you make me angry?
Right.
Oh, well, why does that? Like, because I think initially it's going to go outward. And if you keep going through that why, well, why do I think that is? Why is that hurting? Why am I to keep moving through that? Because I think the initial response to why am I angry is going to go to somebody else.
Why was I angry?
Yeah, correct. That's all you can control. We can't control the other person. Is all you can look at and be aware of and acknowledge and shift is this like, why do I feel this way? Yeah. The I statements are huge. And honestly, what we're talking about also, it's this skill set that is not there right away. I mean,
Well, because
how,
you're programmed for all your life not to.
no, I mean, we've been working on this for 2019, so it's 7 years. So it's our skill set has worked and also seeking out, places that teach that as well. Um, it's just kind of like when you told me, it's like, hey, to the events, can we do couples coaching now? And I was like, well, I got so many things going, but then I said, well, why don't you do it? And watching you and your passion
Mm-hmm.
teach these couples how, and all it is, we're teaching them how to communicate, create
Yeah.
real intimacy that we don't realize isn't there. Communication, we're not educated on that. We're constantly just responding to with our emotions. And so it it takes help too. Um Tim and I did not create this skill set on our own.
No.
No, it took coaching. It took help. Um, and even with the coaching at first, we couldn't get past our triggers at the beginning because it was our so then I'm going to follow it up with willingness, a willingness to just keep trying, especially because here's the thing. If I'm willing, but Tim wasn't willing, well, then I got to choose me, right? Right. But if there is a willingness, and that's why sometimes it works for some couples and sometimes, but because sometimes a willingness is in just one person and that won't work. But there's always been a willingness on both sides. Even when we've gotten, if he's been really mad, he goes, I just can't now, but just let me, and then, but that the willingness to just keep, because it, man, we've uncovered stuff that is actually blown me away. We've in all this process over the last 6 years, I mean, I found out things that happened to you when you were young that now make it like, "Oh, no wonder you react that way." Just so many things have been uncovered in this.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you and I don't even I feel like I'm married to a completely different man.
No, it's me.
It's
Still
no,
Tim.
it's the real
I
you,
recognize
right?
him.
It's the real you.
Yeah.
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 So it's not a one-shot thing. It's
No, it's a
willingness.
journey. The journey.
It's a
It's
journey.
a
Journey
It's a
that we're
lifelong journey.
lifelong, that we're still,
Mhm.
I mean, that's why we're here talking about this one, because
Yep.
it's like this was the next phase.
That's the biggest thing that I find just, in the work that we all do. And when new people come to it, it's like, oh, am I fixed yet? Well, one, not broken. Two, these things are going to constantly come up. You're going to go through seasons of this is some bullshit. And then some seasons, ideally, of this is nice. And all of a sudden you're off the cliff again. Oh, the fuck was that? And then you're back. And this isn't all permanent. Literally, it's
Yeah.
not permanent. And that it's okay. We fell back into that pattern. Oh crap. Okay, up we go. It's just it's this crazy journey that is just like,
Yeah.
this is just temporary. Then we're
Yeah.
gonna move through it.
Which is why we look, sometimes the pattern is easier to go numb than to do this, because we've had people show up to our events and they're like, well, I'm here to fix this. And it's just kind of,
Oh, it's
okay.
adorable.
This
Okay.
that's so cute.
It's like the cat.
It's so cute.
It's like, oh.
You know how that works out for you. We'll see in a couple years. You stay with it and we'll see.
Exactly.
And then also not being tied to that damn outcome, because guess what?
Yes.
Boy, does not look like we think it's gonna look.
Yeah. And I have experienced you guys many times we're in this thing and I don't know how it's going to turn out. So
Yeah.
we're going to keep moving forward regardless, because I think sometimes there's a stop when they start going, if I keep going this way, I may lose this person, or this may happen, or this may happen. You got to go, but you got to keep pushing through that regardless of what's on the other side of it.
Because regardless, it's like the best place to be is in the truth, whether it's what you wanted or not. It's just to be in the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, well, this is beautiful. So I'm feeling the energy of wrapping it up. Okay, so I've got a.
Just want to make sure everybody knows that I was in it.
For how long? Just want to confirm it was a couple weeks that you were spinning out there, Tim, just in case no one caught it.
I love you, babe. But we're real. I mean, it is what it is. We're real.
Just giving you That's what I do.
So good at it.
Okay. So I've got a closing prayer / somatic drop in. And this is for the men, or for the women that have men in their lives. Maybe you could have them listen to this. So for the men in the tunnel, if this episode stirred something in you, if you felt something restless, irritated, or untethered, or strangely empty, I want to invite you to pause for just a moment. Take a breath, not a deep one, but a real one. And if it aligns, place one hand on your chest and the other on your belly, and silently ask yourself, not to answer this question, just to notice, where am I still being needed? when what's actually being asked from me is to be present. Let that land. If you're in a season where the old roles no longer fit and the new ones haven't formed yet, this is not a failure of character. This is not laziness. And this is not loss of purpose. This is a crossing. A tunnel doesn't mean you took a wrong turn. It means you're between what was and what hasn't fully revealed itself to you. So here's a prayer I want to offer you. May you stop measuring your worth by how much you carry for others. May you let your nervous system rest from proving, from producing, from posturing. May you trust that the quiet you're in is not emptiness, but it's reorganization. And may you remember this. You're not here to be needed anymore. You're here to be chosen. And to be chosen by yourself first. So one more breath. And if all you do this week is notice when your body reaches out for an old role and gently say, I see you. We don't need to do that right now. That's enough now. I'm enough. You're not late. You're not broken. You're not losing purpose. You're learning how to live without disappearing into usefulness. And that is the holy kind of becoming. Much love to all the beautiful men out there rising. Aho.
Oh, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.
Thank you for pausing with me. May what you heard settle gently in your body and stir something true within you. If this episode spoke to your soul, please subscribe and share with someone else who might need this pause as well. Until next time, come as you are, take a deep breath, and stay for the stillness.